Here's the dilemma. A liberal society still needs to be defended, and it needs to be defended violently at times. And the people who are going to do this have to like what they do, or else they're not going to be very good at it.
It's not really going to matter if it goes up.
Hey, welcome back. Today we're going to look at a video from 1942 to about 1944 on the Marine Corps Raiders in World War II. I've really enjoyed diving back into the Marine Corps history and Marine Corps traditions. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Let's jump into it. Semper Fi.
The first real martial artists in the Marine Corps were the Raiders of World War II.
Some bad dudes.
There's a lot of similarities between what the Raiders did and what we're doing today.
Rear naked choke.
The Marine Raiders were formed in early 1942, at a time when America was on the defensive in the Pacific War. They were the nation's first guerrilla warfare troops and are frequently referred to as America's first special forces.
I've heard that before too, that they're the first America's special forces. Comment down below and let me know what you think. They were doing amphibious assaults, submarine assaults, air. They were coming in on the ground, the sea. They were doing it all.
They were the first ones to do amphibious operations from rubber boats. They
There
were
we go.
launching from submarines. They were coming off of destroyers.
Yep.
They were landing in places that were unexpected by the enemy, by the Japanese during World War II.
They made us keenly aware that the Raiders were a special group. We were cocky as could be. Now, burying your first dead takes care of the cockiness. But we were still as confident as anybody could be.
The Raiders' job was to take the fight to the Japanese in the Pacific. To move, as Marines have done throughout their history, toward the sound of the guns.
It was the first move back to roll them back up the string of islands that they had taken. It was the first really step on the way to Tokyo.
The Raiders went into Tulagi, and they fought at Guadalcanal. One of the great fights in Marine Corps history was Raiders Ridge, Edson's Ridge, in September of '42. Against a whole brigade of Japanese who were pretty good jungle fighters. It was a hell of a fight. It went on for 2 nights. The Raiders held.
Okay, so he's talking about Edison's Raiders and Carlson's Raiders, 1st Battalion and 2nd Battalion. There were 2 battalions of Raiders that attacked those atolls there, Guadalcanal and Tulagi and things like that. So there are 2 of them.
Well, they were legendary.
By 1944, the tide in the Pacific War had turned, and the Marine Raiders were no longer needed. They rejoined regular units, ending a brief but glorious chapter in Marine Corps history.
Hey, and right there, as you can see, he talks about them being disbanded about 2 years, 1942 to 1944. Yes, they were disbanded. They were an elite unit inside of an elite unit. So they really went back to the elite unit. But around 2006, they started coming back and around. And then 2014, under General Amos, he said, hey, we need another elite group like this at amphibious assault. Those guys are doing the high speed, low drag, getting back down to the traditions of the Marine Corps, unconventional warfare, conventional warfare, urban assault, whatever you need, the Raiders are going to do. So he said, hey, let's bring it back up again. We need that. The Marine Corps needs that. The United States needs that. So they implemented that again. 2016, they actually started the Marine Corps Raiders, part of the Marine Corps Special Operations Command.
We realized, even though we were 17 and 18-year-olds, that if this thing wasn't won, the world was going to be a very, very different place. It was really to preserve our way of life, and that sounds a little corny, but it sure wasn't. We figured that any day we ever lived the rest of our lives was a bonus.
Okay. I just don't think we make them like that anymore. That mindset, that mentality, that motivates me. Those guys laid the foundation, not just for the Raiders today, but for the Marine Corps in history in the United States. We need to get that mentality back, that mindset back. They laid that foundation. They paved it for us, for Marines like me and other Marines to come and the ones after them. Man, that's awesome. Okay, 5 seconds. Waze Energy, they're sponsor of this video. Check them out, www.wazeenergy.com. But you know what goes along with Waze? My favorite crayon. Crayons and Waze Energy. They'll hype you up. I appreciate what they do. Their mission is awesome. Go check them out. Semper Fi.
Because anybody that got in and out of the Raiders and made it really was a lucky man.
Come on.
The Raiders' legacy is indelible with the Marine Corps. It goes back to the warrior ethos and the Marine Corps culture. We always take care of our own. We never leave someone behind.
Never leave
The
them
Raiders
behind.
went before us, so we're not going to leave them behind. And their memory will definitely live on much longer than they will.
Tough as nails, baby. We need that.
Here's the dilemma. A liberal society still needs to be defended, and it needs to be defended violently at times. And the people who are going to do this have to like what they do, or else they're not going to be very good at it.
It's not really going to matter if it goes up.
Did y'all listen to that? That past 30 seconds, maybe minute. People don't want to know what it takes for freedom and things to be done, but somebody has to do it. And even a liberal society still has to be defended. He said it perfectly. Not me.
They may morally, abstractly not like to kill, but the actual training and doing is not something that they can be afraid of.
The fact of the matter is, throughout history, at times, killing is necessary. It's not a matter of good or bad. There are situations in which this hard thing has to be done.
That combat changes people. That combat, I think, diminishes the soul permanently. It alters people. The sacrifices the Marines make are not just physical, they're mental and spiritual as well, and they're carried for the...
Very inspiring video to hear from those Marines from the Raiders in 1942, present day, and even somewhere in between of what it takes, the sacrifices in the Marine Corps. And I think that's all military, not just the Marine Corps, but that's everybody that serves this country. And they talked about never leaving a brother behind, never leaving the brotherhood, that you're always going to carry them with you. I think that is true too, that if you're battling and you're struggling, I've always said that, reach out to a brother. Do not do this battle alone. It is not good for any of us. Find someone to talk to. Find a professional. Find a friend. Find a pastor. Find anyone. But don't do it alone. Reach out. Thank you again for tagging along as we watch this video. Very cool, very motivational to me, and I think to everyone. Don't forget to hit the like, the share, and the comment button. I appreciate you, and I'll see you on the next one. Semper Fi.